Alrighty. This job's sort of, wears you out a bit, to put it nicely. Yeah, you never know. Some days you'll be knocking off at 3:30 and other days it's sometimes even midnight. Yesterday was 7:30 p.m. I was working with, there's a couple who are basically the owners. The dude who I'm yet to meet, his father has a removals company and he started one too. And his girlfriend is the other owner, and I've seen her a few times and talked to her on the phone a couple of times because she's in the office. Yesterday I worked with her twin brother, so she's a twin, and worked with a twin brother, and he tried to explain some of the way it's all structured. It's sort of really like 110 an hour, 10% of that's GST, so it's basically 100 an hour they pay plus GST. I get 25 an hour, he gets 23-ish an hour, and basically the other half is taken by the company, or near to half is taken by the company for your fuel, rent for the building that they park the trucks in, and basic servicing, tyres, all that sort of shit, advertising, phone bills, power bills, and the rest is sort of profit. It's sort of a bit strange in the way that you'll drive somewhere but you won't get paid driving to and from the job. So I drove from this city to the edge of the capital. It took an hour because this old truck, it's much the same as the other truck I've driven before, except it seems as though the gearing is a little bit different. I had a Isuzu 525. I could get up to 125 k's an hour without even fucking trying. It was easy. Easy sit on 110, no worries at all, and I had it up to 125 without even noticing at one point. That was the truck I used to drive when I was a courier. This one is a 550, which is basically the same chassis. I think the weight's a little bit of a higher weight rating or something like that, maybe another half ton or something weight rating, and doesn't have electric windows, and the gearing seems as though it only goes up to about 90 k's an hour. Aside from that, it's almost bloody identical to what I was driving as a courier, which is good. A lot of their trucks are older trucks. It's sort of almost like as though, like I drove there, it took me an hour to get there, an hour coming back in the dark. But I didn't get paid for that. You only sort of get paid more or less 25 bucks an hour, which works out about, a quarter of whatever the customer pays. So the customer pays by the hour, and it starts basically when you knock on the front door, and start emptying the house out to when you have the furniture reloaded into their house. Now, having said that, if they do a big long bloody move from one side of the state to the other, or as in some cases literally halfway across the country, you get paid pretty damn well. In fact, the jockey, as you know, the other guy who's not driving the truck, who helps you load the truck up and whatnot, like this bloke I was working with didn't even have a license, but of course he's a family member and he works as a jockey, and he actually told me, you're more secure than I am, even though I'm a family member, just because you've got a truck license. And when you go interstate and take a few days, they actually sleep in the back of the truck, and one person sleeps in the sleeper cab, and the other, and sometimes they take the driver and two guys, the other two, or at least the other guy, will sleep in the back of the truck, believe it or not. So if I go interstate with somebody else, I might be taking an air mattress, which I already have, sitting in the laundry. So, but at that point, like even the jockey, 125 bucks a day just to sit on his ass as you're driving interstate, and I think the driver might remain on the 25 bucks an hour or whatever, You know, and it's quite good dollars interstate. Having said that, cats are usually fine. You know, if you've got a decent sized water bowl and decent sized food bowl. It might mean that I'm not having a summer garden because I won't be able to water the damn thing, because I might not necessarily be here, and I don't really want all the tomatoes dying while I'm not here. There may be some way I can work out a drip feeder, but it all... Let's put it like this. In 5 hours worth of work, I could buy more tomatoes than... Oh shit, you know, than I could ever eat. I could buy enough tomatoes to fill this car fucking about 5 times over, you know, or 6 or 7 times over, with the same money I make out of 5 hours. So, in effect, you know, you can't do gardening as a hobby anymore, but if you really want shit, you got more money than you know what to do to buy it, you know. So, just one of those things, you know, some jobs are like that. Another part of... I sort of said to him, it's a bit wrong in a way, you know, that I'm driving all the way to Capital, all the way back, not seeing any money for it, but it's sort of almost like as though they work on an hourly rate, charging the customer 110 an hour, and then you're sort of almost subcontracted to them, and they're more or less subcontracted to the customer. So you sort of, they're not out any by doing that. Other than your fuel to get there and back, but they've sort of absorbed all that in there, you know, in half the money being taken by them, 10% GST, quarter for me and quarter for the jockey sort of thing. So in effect, they're sort of not putting themselves in any, you know, tight positions like that. It's sort of almost like they're subcontracting to the customer, we're subcontracting to them. But in that, you know, it's $25 an hour. It's not $18.80 or whatever the hell minimum wage is. So, you know, you sort of are getting a bit more, and it's just part and parcel with the business structure, and you're just, you know, part and parcel of the job that you won't get paid, you know, if you go and get that stuff. But this is the thing. I don't think there's going to be anyone, you know, in any further range than the capital that's going to actually ring us up and say, we want to move home. Like, we're not going to have, I highly doubt we're going to have somebody in another state ring us up and ask we want to move home, because they probably won't even find us in any advertisements or anything like that. They've never heard of us. So the people who are going to ring you are probably people who are only at a maximum within an hour and a half's drive away anyway. Unless there's ones who are, you know, terribly savvy and get someone, you know, get us to drive interstate, then to drive them back. But either way, you know, they're going to be paying the same amount as they would probably just to get a local removalist. And why the hell would they get an interstate removalist to where they're going versus one that's already in the area that they live in at the moment, sort of thing, to take it to where they're going to live. So, yeah, but he also reckons the interstate rates, you end up getting a lot higher rate per hour when you do go interstate, and yeah, it's quite variable in that way. You don't really know how many hours you're going to do from one day to the next, and you may miss out on a bit of pay for some of the time that you drive to get to the job. But if they're moving a far distance, you get paid a decent amount in that. Hang on, I'm just going to touch this tablet here. Anyway, he reckons a lot of people don't last purely because of, like, they go and fuck their back or something like that, or, you know, roll their ankle and whatnot. So I don't know if I'll do it today. I probably should be doing it, but if we get I don't even know if I'm working tomorrow. They sort of ring you up day by day. But if I get a day off tomorrow, I might go and get some decent boots. Some of those ones that go right up your flipping ankle, like the ones I usually have. But I've sort of worn the soles out and walked in too many embers and melted the soles and everything like that. Zip on one of those is shit. But you know what I'm saying? The boots that go right up past your ankle and you lace up right above your ankle. With those, I have never rolled my ankle with those on. and I've worn those sort of boots for more than 5 years now. So I might get a pair of those as opposed to those little lace-up ones that I got for $29 the other day that I've been using, just to make sure I don't stuff my ankle up. Because if that's the difference between, you know, keeping your job and not keeping your job, I can afford the $115 that they're worth. So, yeah. And I'm going to go in a minute, and I picked up this bloody couch, and it was in a box, because that's another one they do, is deliver stuff from a furniture chain, and that's a common one I seem to be getting on, and I think that's, you know, it's actually pretty good, because it's, you know, you are getting paid to drive around then, because you're basically just delivering furniture that's been ordered, and they have an option in shop where we can bring it to your house if you don't have a trailer, and they've got the contract with that particular franchise, the local franchise of this giant furniture chain. And a lot of it's flat pack stuff, and some of it's bloody heavy, like some of the 3-seat couches and shit like that. They're not that bad. We did have one that was 90.8 kilos, which I think is about, holy smoke, it's like about 220 pounds or something like that. Probably even a few more. Might be 225 pounds or so. It's ridiculously heavy. But aside from that, a lot of their other stuff is just, like, especially if they get the cheaper stuff, it's chipboard, and there's a lot of shit. And there's ones that I was carrying, and there's only 10 kilos, like 21 pounds or 22 pounds sort of thing. And I was carrying those in, and yeah, you know, light as a feather sort of thing. So that's all local, and it's only the local franchise. So that's sort of pretty good. But I picked up this couch, as I was saying. It was in a bloody box, and my fingers were sliding on the box, son of a bitch. And I just about started stuffing up. I felt a terrible strain, really bad strain on the tendons in my right arm. So I thought, well, next time we probably should be getting some gloves. And also, sometimes you go into houses, and like the young guy showed me, all the bangs on his fucking knuckles, unbelievable, all bruised up on the knuckles sort of thing, like all pink marks and shit. And he goes, oh, that's just from hitting my hands in the Alcatraz. I'm like, fuck that, I'm going to get these gloves, because at least you got a bit of backing on the gloves, and they got rubberised on the front, the same sort of ones I used to use manufacturing radiators. I go get a set of them for $6, so I'm going to get 2 sets of them, and then you can get a better grip on stuff because it's got a slightly rubberised front, and you know, you got something on the back so you don't go bang and hit your hand against the Alcatraz when you're trying to squeeze out this giant fucking couch. Tell you what, it's always fun trying to get shit up the stairs. The bloody mattress bases and all. Oh, you know, we've got a double mattress, and it's got a base with a solid wooden frame. And by the way, there's a stairwell that just starts with a 90-degree bend, and you got this lowered bloody ceiling, and you're just about smashing out the friggin' lights in the ceiling, and they got some fancy light fixture, and you're like, I can't hit that because that's going to cost a bloody fortune. You know, big fandangle bloody glass, blooming blown glass thing. You know. You're thinking, I can't smash that bastard because they'll tell me it's worth $200 or something. But anyway, it's I think I'm going to be back to making at least $800 a week or more. You can't really tell, you know. They can only give you whatever jobs come in, which, as I said, you know, there last night was 7:30 p.m. First day it was 3:30 p.m. You know, and he says plenty of times they're going through to 10 or 11 o'clock at night, and you think, shit. So. And it's one of these things, it's, yeah, you got to take it as you can get it, because, like, I haven't heard any calls back from any of these other jobs. 27 resumes went out, and sure, it's only been a week, but, you know, like, nearly 2 weeks with some of them, but economy's looking shit. It's looking bad. Plenty of joints I went into, they're actually putting people off, you know, and other joints are like, oh, well, yeah, I can barely give our casuals enough work, so... And you're like, yeah, so I should just, yeah, I'm wasting my time, aren't I? Sort of thing, you know. But this ain't great necessarily in regards to, you know, you got to have a comfortable bed for any aches. Sort of like, it's one of these things where, you know, you're lifting heavy weights, and it's not quite as luxurious as it was. I'm not saying it's not great, I'm just saying it's not as luxurious as it was at Air Radiators, where you had cranes for freaking everything you could use a crane for, you know. And yeah, you got trolleys, but there's some things that just, you know, you're not going to get out the door with a trolley. It's as simple as that, like some of these couches and that. And yeah, So it's part and parcel of the way it is. But if I look after me joints and don't pop anything out, and make sure that I sort of, I think it's one of these things, you build up strength as time goes on. You build up a bit of strength. I've noticed that with a lot of jobs where I've been out of work for a while, and hay baling. I've been out of work for like 9 months or something, and then I started doing hay baling back years ago now. Hell, it was before I had this car, and I had this car for 7 years. So yeah, and I was sitting there lifting these hay bales like, the weight sort of thing, as I was lifting them after not having worked for 9 months. Within the next 6 weeks, I could pick up a hay bale with one finger and throw it over my bloody shoulder. You build up the muscles, and I think so long as I build up the muscles, and don't get tendonitis, don't stuff up knee, back, anything like that, it'll be right. And it's one of these jobs that, hey, I'm not going to lie, it's one of the sort of, your more bottom rung jobs. It's not luxurious by any means. There's a lot of heavy lifting. It's not as though I'm, on easy street with this job, but although it's hard, there is a chance, and the work's very short days, some days, other days there's big days, and the money is actually quite good. And so, take the opportunity while it's there to make money while everybody else is, sitting on welfare hoping that they can get extensions on their bloody mortgage, So anyway, I'll be glad to have a bit of dough. I'll buy all the stuff for this fence. Whether I get an entire fence around the house put up or not is irrelevant. If I've got the money, I'm going to buy all the damn materials to do the fence right around the house, so that if I do, injure myself and have to leave or have to take on another job or whatever, when I, get back on board, and if I'm on welfare again, hey, I'll put most of the fence up, and with that, my father helps me with a lot of stuff, and I'm sure that, he'll be happy helping me with a bit of this stuff as well, sort of thing. So, yeah, we'll see how it all goes, and I'm going to make a go of it while the Floman money's there, and get this new dunny system will be probably one of the first things. And, yeah.